We have ourselves a quarterback, but do we have an actual football team? Not really. We'll break down Drake Maye's debut here on Patscast.
Patscast rings out loud. Rookie Drake Maye steps proud. Defense can't hold the line.
Welcome to Patscast. I'm Brad Whitaker. Visit expressvpn.com/Patscast to get 3 months off of a 12-month annual VPN plan. Again, that is expressvpn.com/Patscast. Drake Maye shows plenty of signs of life in the Patriots' loss. 20 of 33, 243 yards passing for 3 touchdowns. Did have 2 interceptions, though, and 4 sacks for 34 yards total on those sacks, with an 88 passer rating. And this is about what I expected we would get out of Drake Maye in his debut. But the Patriots' issues go so far beyond the quarterback position at this point that I'm going to get to Drake Maye in just a moment, because that was just an atrocious performance by the Patriots in general, especially on the defensive side of the football. But even things like special teams, the Texans realize Patriots are not very good at kickoff returns. What do we see since these new XFL rules? Pretty much every team kicks the ball into the back of the end zone. Not the Houston Texans. They know the Patriots are going to struggle to get the ball to the 20-yard line. And that's basically what we saw all game. So special teams, not great, but really 41 points, that is not going to win games in the NFL. I don't care who you have at quarterback, and I think Drake Maye did a pretty good job considering. Like I said, I'll get to that in just a second, but the Patriots give up 192 yards rushing on the ground after a very similar game last week against the Miami Dolphins. Houston Texans carried the ball 28 times, and most of those rushing yards came off of a couple of big bursts coming from both Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce. And you have to remember, coming into this game, we know how great the Houston Texans are. I mean, this is a legit Super Bowl contender, coming in at 4-1, now 5-1. But their biggest struggle this season has been running the football. But they looked at the tape last week of the Patriots versus Miami, and they had no trouble running the ball against the Patriots today in a game where C.J. Stroud, we really didn't get his best. I mean, he only had 192 yards passing, 20 of 31, 3 touchdowns, one interception, had a better passer rating than Drake Maye. But really, Drake Maye, for the most part, did outplay C.J. Stroud. It's just the Texans were able to run the ball at will all game. And every time it looked like the Patriots were going to get a big stop on third down or what have you, they'd give up a big play, and that would be it. Drake Maye never really even had a chance to play a real football game today. Patriots, as expected, wanted to run the ball early, but they fell behind 14-0, which meant they had to open up the passing game quite a bit to Drake Maye and probably abandon the game plan once again that they had going in. And yeah, would it have helped to have a guy like Ramondre Stevenson healthy out there? Of course, but only 82 yards on the ground from the Patriots and their rushing attack. 38 of those yards came from Drake Maye, which is good to see. But, your best running back, Antonio Gibson, rushing the ball for 19 yards total on 13 carries. That's just not going to work. So the Patriots can't run the ball, and they can't stop the run defensively. And that really ultimately goes back to the coaching. And yeah, there's plenty to criticize, especially Alex Van Pelt. And once again, the lack of creativity with the play calling. Drake Maye's lining up under center. They're going to run the ball because that's the only time the Patriots run the ball under center. Of course, the 2 times that they ran play action, one should have been a positive play, but Austin Hooper fumbled it. And the other time ended up being a check down touchdown to Hunter Henry on the flat, which was a great heads-up play by Drake Maye. But ultimately, Patriots very predictable offensively, and they're just not a very tough nor buttoned-up football team. I really think Week 1 was an aberration at this point. It was so encouraging coming out of that Week 1 game against Cincinnati because the Patriots made very few mistakes. They were the tougher team on the field, and it has been the opposite story for the last 5 weeks. Patriots now drop their 5th straight game, and they just don't have the toughness out there. Yeah, I know there's injuries. I know the linebacker position's tough. They're not able to stop the run like they could if they had everyone healthy, but you're just making excuses at this point. And too many missed tackles on the defensive side of the football. Houston able to run the ball. That's what tough teams need to be able to do in the NFL, is run the football on the offensive side and stop the run on the defensive side. And those are the two biggest weaknesses from the Patriots, at least today it was against the Houston Texans. And that ultimately goes back to the coaching. And speaking of buttoned up, I mean, the reason the Patriots fell behind early were dumb defensive penalties. There was a pass interference penalty on Mapu, which I do think was a bad call early in the game, but still, you can't be holding players like that. I know he was less than 5 yards downfield. I think it was a bad call, but refs are probably going to call that most of the time. It would have been a third down stop. Instead, it results in a touchdown to Tank Dell a couple of plays later. Patriots fall behind 7-0. And then they had another third down stop on the next series in the red zone. And then Marcus Jones, pretty blatant pass interference call on that one. Third down stop is wiped, leads to another touchdown play on a check down throw from C.J. Stroud to Joe Mixon. Patriots fall into an early 14-0 hole, and that was all she wrote. And ultimately, the Patriots were just playing catch-up the rest of the game. But that continued. I mean, Texans scored 13 points in the third quarter, and they scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. So, really, Patriots defense couldn't do much today. Having Kyle Duggar back didn't really help a lot. Still a lot of issues with defending the middle portion of the field on those 5 to 10 yard short routes that Houston was running, that every team has been able to run, throwing the ball in the middle of the football field, and then just not being able to stop the run altogether. And that's why the Texans ultimately put up 41 points. You're not going to win in this football league giving up 41 points like that. And we always thought the defense would be good. They have depth there. They have the players. They have the talent. The coaching just hasn't been good since DeMarcus Covington took over at defensive coordinator. I don't know what Drake Maye is doing. It looks a lot different from what we saw with Bill Belichick. The continuity with that defense that we were expecting. Yeah, I know you don't have Barmore. I know you don't have Juwan Bentley. A lot of players are banged up, but we need to see a better showing than that. And that's ultimately why the Patriots lost the game. And Drake Maye really didn't have a shot and spent the entire game playing catch-up. So, very unfortunate performance there by the Patriots defense. And as we said before the season, this is a team that needs to hold their opponents under 25 to 20 points to have any shot at winning these games. And yeah, you have a real weapon at quarterback right now, a real dynamic quarterback who's going to put points on the board. Patriots finally topped 20 today. Probably could have had 28 if they let Drake Maye play out the final drive and actually take some shots at the end zone. The issue wasn't the offense. Despite not being able to run the football very well, it all falls on the defense there, and it seems like it's a lost season at this point, not just because they're 1-5. Look, they have some easy games coming up, very winnable games, but a defense giving up 192 yards on the ground to a team that hasn't been able to run the football all season, you're not going to win many games, so I think we're looking at another early draft pick. But let's get to Drake Maye, because this was a very encouraging performance. Again, 20 of 33 passing, 243 yards, 3 touchdown passes. The first time Patriots have had a quarterback with multiple touchdown passes since Bailey Zappi around Christmas in Denver last year. But he did have 2 interceptions. And one of them, I'm not going to knock Drake Maye too much. It was a tip pass, tip drill. Texans defensive player made a great catch in the air. So I'm not going to knock him too much for the second interception or the fumble, which came on a blindside strip sack. You got to hold on to the football there, but it's going to happen in a rookie's debut. But as I predicted, Drake Maye came out, looked very nervous, very jittery in the first half, most of the first half, and certainly in the first quarter. I predicted this week on the podcast Drake Maye would throw an interception in the first quarter, and he certainly did. On Demario Douglas looked to be open a little bit. Was a bit of a tight window, but Drake Maye just airmailed it, was picked off by Bullock. Drake Maye made a nice tackle on the play, but that was the first mistake, big mistake that he made in the first quarter. But as I've said before, this is a quarterback that needs to get reps, needs to get time to settle into games. Falling behind 14-0 early is not going to help. But as we saw in college, Drake Maye is the type of quarterback that gets better as the game goes on, and we saw that at the end of the first half when Drake Maye threw an absolute bomb to Kayshon Boutte with just 11 seconds left on the clock to give the Patriots a little bit of a chance. And it looked like they were going to have to settle for a long field goal in the final seconds of the first half. Decides to take a deep shot to Kayshon Boutte, ends up hitting him in the end zone. beautiful pass, Drew Bledsoe-esque, really great throw by Drake Maye there. And he made a lot of pretty good throws today. He had a lot of accuracy issues, even on some short dink and dunk passes that either missed his receivers entirely or threw behind them, or the receivers had to make great catches to make a positive play out of it. So there were some accuracy issues from Maye, which is to be expected, but had that great touchdown throw to Kayshon Boutte at the end of the first half. Then he had a nice throw in the flat to Hunter Henry, who was blocking at the beginning of the play. This also came off of a strong scramble throw to Hunter Henry, where he gained 30 yards on the same drive. But really good job by Maye to stay in the pocket, wait for Henry to come off the block and hit him in the flat for an easy touchdown. That was his second touchdown throw of the game. And then he had a great middle of the field throw, which are throws that Jacoby Brissett just didn't make for whatever reason, on a slant right through the middle of the field to Demario Douglas for his third touchdown. So 3 real positives there, 3 touchdown passes, 243 yards for Drake Maye. Would have liked to see him take a shot at the end zone, but the coaching just decided to throw in the towel at the end of the game there, and the Patriots crowd let him know it. But look, we know Drake Maye was put in a bad situation today. This is why he should have started last week against the Miami Dolphins in a very winnable game. I expect he's going to look a lot better now that he has some experience at the starting quarterback spot next week in London against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But immediately, what was the topic this week people were talking about? Well, the Patriots finally have some continuity on that offensive line. Nope, Alex Van Pelt and Gerard Mayo just threw that out the window, decided to start Ben Brown at the center position instead of Nick Leverett, which was an interesting choice. And I know Nick Leverett really struggled last week, ended up giving up 10 pressures, not a great game, but most of that had to do with miscommunication with him and Mike Onwenu at the right guard spot. I thought they would patch that up with a week of practice, and I thought it made sense to have Drake Maye start behind Nick Leverett at center because he took a lot of snaps with Nick Leverett throughout the preseason and training camp. But no, they just decided to throw Ben Brown out there, a late addition to this roster, and put Drake Maye behind the 6 new offensive line the Patriots had in 6 weeks. And then it got even worse because you got to see the tape. I don't know how Ben Brown did, but Vidarian Lowe ended up leaving the game early. He had a great game last week at left tackle, allowed 0 pressures, ends up getting hurt himself. They put Zach Thomas out there on the far left side. He really struggles the rest of the game. And then at left guard, Michael Jordan, who's arguably been their best offensive lineman this year when healthy, he goes out with an injury, and then Sidy Sow comes into the game at left guard. So immediately, Drake Maye's blind side is completely flipped. He no longer has Vidarian Lowe. He no longer has Michael Jordan. Arguably their 2 best offensive linemen these last couple of weeks. Loses them. Lost Michael Jordan a little bit later in the game. But not a great situation for Maye, especially because the Patriots couldn't run the football. So hopefully those guys can get healthy and they can have some semblance of continuity on that offensive line. But, I thought starting Ben Brown at center did not make a lot of sense. You want the same offensive line 2 weeks in a row. He must have been really bad in practice this week to sit him for Ben Brown, who really doesn't have much experience in this offense. And this is an offense, you have to remember, this isn't the Josh McDaniels offense of old. This isn't even the Bill O'Brien offense where the quarterback is commanding everything. It really starts in these West Coast systems with the center. They're the ones who make the adjustments at the line, takes the pressure off the quarterback a little bit, but you would expect you want to put Nick Leverett out there, the experienced veteran, instead of a guy who really hasn't had a lot of snaps with this team, but that's what the Patriots decided to do. And I think, again, a lot of this falls on coaching. I didn't agree with that decision. Patriots rushed the ball 26 times today. I guess that's a little bit better than last week where they only rushed it 18 times, but they fell behind early and had to abandon the game plan that they had. So that wasn't a great look. And then, as I said, Alex Van Pelt and some of this play calling, just the lack of creativity out there. First down, the Patriots are going to run it every time. Putting Drake Maye, whether he's under center, if he's under center, they're going to run the ball, except for those 2 play actions they ran. But even in the shotgun first down, the Patriots are running the ball. They essentially tried to make it easy by putting Drake Maye under center very little throughout the game. Didn't really seem to matter. Houston knew when the Patriots were running the ball, but not a great situation for Maye, but I think he made the most out of it. Hopefully those mistakes will be mitigated as the weeks go on, but look, he's a rookie quarterback. You're going to get that. But Demario Douglas ended up having a good game, 6 catches for 92 yards. Kayshon Boutte had a very strong game once again. He's really coming into his own. 3 catches for 59 yards. Henry had 3 catches for 41 yards. But I'd say the biggest miss, or if you want to pick a player who did not play very well on the offensive side of the football today, was Jalen Polk. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact Houston's defense just decided to take him out of the game entirely. He was really the primary receiver that the defense focused on, but you got to get more out of Polk. I think he had 5 targets, 1 catch for 4 yards, came in garbage time, had a catch that he should have made toward the end of the fourth quarter. It was starting to rain, the ball slipped off his hands, but it was easily catchable by a guy like Polk. So he really had a rough game today, but again, the defense basically took him out of the ball game. But overall, 41-21, defense has to play a lot better, and the Patriots, if they can't stop the run, they're going to lose every game the rest of the season, and that has to be the primary focus going forward, along with getting a little bit more creative with the offensive play calling. And I know you don't have a massive Rolodex with a rookie quarterback out there, but you at least got to keep the defense on their toes a little bit more, and hopefully Alex Van Pelt can scheme up something a little bit better. I really like that final touchdown drive the Patriots had where Drake Maye had plenty of short routes, plenty of checkdowns, which he took frequently and got a lot of positive short plays off of those. But then the last couple drives of the game, Alex Van Pelt didn't scheme up anything like that, and Drake Maye was looking deep downfield. This is a guy who can get rid of the football quickly. He just needs to have opportunities to get rid of the football quickly, and Alex Van Pelt in this offensive scheme was very hit or miss there. Still need to see major improvements there. I'm wondering, I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm wondering, the Patriots are considering making a change at offensive coordinator. Remember, you have Ben McAdoo on that staff who's not doing much, has a lot of great experience as an offensive coordinator, not so much as a head coach, wasn't a great head coach, but a good offensive coordinator. Maybe there's a chance they're willing to fire Van Pelt this early in the season. Again, I don't think it's going to happen, and putting a guy like Ben McAdoo, but this goes back to the conversation I've had on this podcast. I don't know why you didn't consider bringing back Josh McDaniels. You didn't want to spend money on an offensive coordinator to begin with. He's being paid by the Raiders, works well with young rookie quarterbacks. He would have been the perfect choice for offensive coordinator this year, and at least have some continuity within that Patriots organization with an offensive coordinator you can trust. But we're not going to revisit that conversation probably until we hit the offseason. But tough loss, 41-21. Patriots defense ultimately screws them over. Drake Maye shows some signs of life despite some early struggles. I think there's plenty to be encouraged about on the offensive side of the football, but a lot to be discouraged about on the defensive side and even on special teams. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Drake Maye played well? What do you think they need to do on the offensive side of the football? What do you think they need to do on the defensive side of the football? Curious to hear from you. Let me know in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. And be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, or subscribe if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We'll see you throughout the week.
That's gas rings out loud. Rookie Drake Maye steps proud. Defense can't hold the line. Run game, choose up time. Pats pants shout in the rain. New QB, but defense is pain. Drake shows sparks and flame. Defense can't stop the game. Pats cast echo in the night. Patriots crumbling out of sight. Rookie QB standing strong. Defense ruins the song. And he flows with fire and grit. Defense can't find a hit. Sideline cries grow loud. Break the defense's shroud. Pats cast echo in the night. Patriots crumbling out of sight. Rookie QB standing strong. Defense ruins the song. The song. Defensive hope looks grim. Offense tries to win the plight. Defense falls without a fight.